Hello everyone, this is a one controller port quick play of the Mysterious Castle Murasame, or I think it's like Nazu Joe Murasame or something like that in Japanese. But yeah, this is a Famicom Disk System game that was released I think around the time of Zelda, or at least, it was within that year, I believe. And it despite maybe not coming out to be one of the biggest Nintendo IPs out there, it's probably my favorite NES game. Admittedly, I don't have a huge library of NES titles that I've played, but out of like things like Mario Brothers, Zelda, and all that stuff, this has been one of my favorites. It's a little simple, and if you played the Legend of Zelda, it is somewhat similar. Oh, so Arnie's power. You basically walk around in four directions. There's no like diagonal movement, and very similar to like Shinobi. If you are close to an enemy, you'll swipe with your sword, but if you're far away, you'll throw a projectile. So there's only one button for attacking, and then as you saw earlier, when I pressed the other button, I basically got another skill I have that's in the top like white square up there, and that makes me disappear, and then I can't throw anything, but I can like use my sword to swipe enemies. What I think you'll see pretty quickly is that this game is hey, you're gonna get hit. This game is very fast paced. It's very, you never have to stop to attack. You can just always continue to move, and you just kind of keep going. And this game is on a timer, although I will say I don't know if I've ever ran out of time playing this game. You have 300 seconds to finish each level, but honestly, I think the 300-second timer restarts every time you die, and I'm not good at this game, in the same way I'm not very good at the Shinobi. And so I spend a lot of time starting anew. So as you can probably tell, there's little like power-ups you can collect. So I had earlier like a little sword, or a little like spinning disc thing. Now I have like these flames that I'm throwing, and they're not like upgradable power-ups per se. They're more, well, the base weapons. They're more like the knife is probably the weakest weapon in the game, but you kind of can go between the flames and the like little spinning shuriken things. I don't really know what the benefit of the spinning shurikens are. I think they might be faster, but the flames definitely are more powerful. They're in my opinion one of the most valuable skills in this game. And as you saw earlier, I picked up another item, like a little like shogi looking piece, and it made me have like a spread fire. So one thing that's like these little interlude screens have here that are different from the main like grassy plains. Well, it's not really, this aspect of it's not different, but it's more obvious where they are. There are little like items you can find. So if you swipe them with your sword, it will reveal an item, and then you can find what it is. So in that case, that's a little health pickup, so we get some more health. I find those to be fairly rare overall, so oh, there we go. Those are either a speed boost or I can walk on water. So there's like two different types of sandals, ones that make you walk faster, one that let you walk on top of water. So there's actually quite a bit, and I think we can walk on water. Yeah, that's what it is. There's actually quite a bit of variety in the power-ups in this game, but it is a limited arsenal overall. Oops. And enemies mostly just drop energy for your projectile. So you can see at the top of the screen, I actually only have one throwing projectile left. So I'm gonna try to get some more here. Each of those little like white little each of those are like 10, and it looks like, and I don't know if that's anything I've run into before. Since I ran out, it actually reset my skill, so I don't have the flame anymore. So I'm gonna use my skill, my special skill here, which basically makes me disappear for a period of time, and it lets me go in there and like swipe at an enemy. And it's basically like a period of invulnerability while I do that. So I also really like the music to this game. Like there's only really like 2 or 3 songs in this whole game, but I think it's like it sounds really good. I mean, this was a Famicom Disk System game, so I assume this is using the extra channels and everything that the Disk System allowed for. Man, this guy is giving me some trouble. There we go. The sword is pretty much a one-hit kill, so if you can get in on somebody with the sword, it's always better to do that. But it's a little difficult to do that, and it's kind of neat because your sword will also like reflect projectiles and stuff, and so do your projectiles as well, but the sword is definitely more effective. Oh, got it. Okay. Let's see if we get any things up here. Unfortunately, in order to swipe at things and try to find hidden items, you have to spend a chance throwing. So we basically completed the first part of the first, I guess you could call it, world, and we get a chance to get some items here. I don't remember what those little red icons do, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, I'm actually playing this on the Virtual Console, which the manual is all in Japanese, so I cannot tell you what is actually being what any of the power-ups are just by looking at them right now. One thing I will say that's kind of neat is, or maybe not kind of neat, but like one thing that this game does kind of remind me of is like how a lot of European PC games just kind of have like crap coming on screen all the time. This game largely is just kind of an endless wave of enemies. There are some exceptions, like usually if you kill enough enemies in a room, the waves of enemies will stop at some point. Ooh, I want that. I want all these ninja power-ups. Oh boy! All right, there we go. I mean, the entire game is kind of a maze, but these internal castle areas feel more like a maze. Essentially, the ultimate goal is you want to find the boss of this area. And whoops, I think I'm back at the beginning. And these guys are kind of interesting because they actually will hold their sword out, and you can't hit them while their sword is down. But when you get close, they'll raise their sword, so you can kind of get in there and like swipe them really quick. And it's like it feels really good to do, actually. You can also throw stuff at them too, but it's not super reliable. So your ultimate goal while you're in here is to basically save these princesses. And at least as far as I can tell, it's kind of a crap shot of whether or not this is actually a princess or if it's a demon. So let's see what we got here. We got an actual princess. There we go. So sometimes it will spawn as a demon though, so you have to fight the demon. Although you can kind of run away, but the demon will, very similar to like a Super Mario Brothers 2 like Phanto thing, follow you between all the maps and stuff. One kind of interesting other little bit of heritage, and I don't know if there's any actual like lineage here or not, but if you ever look at like the prototypes of the original, oh boy, I hate these rooms. All right, there we go. That room's actually not too bad, but the future rooms that are shaped like that are kind of bad because these dungeons get more and more difficult as time goes on. Oh boy. We'll skip ahead to my other save file here at some point. Oh boy. I only have one life or health left, so I'm trying to play a little conservatively. But yeah, if you look at the original Zelda's like prototype designs, before they like settled on doing an overworld, it kind of feels similar in some ways, where it's like, hey, you basically kind of walked around a dungeon and then, you know, well, it's more of like you kind of went from dungeon to dungeon and then completed them that way rather than like, you know, exploring a world and being more of an adventure. I don't think it would have been as fast-paced as this, you know, but who knows. It's just kind of interesting because I think there's some Japanese concept art online of that version of Zelda they were planning. It's been a long time, so I think it came from like an Iwata Ask or something like that. Or I could just be pulling garbage from my head. I have a very distinct image in my head of what that design doc looked like, or like some of the art of it. Ah! The fire got me. So this game's fairly generous of when you die, you basically start right back in the room you died in. And being a Famicom disk system game, it also is a game that lets you save. So... Oh boy. Alright. So there's no limited number of continues as far as I can tell. Basically what happens is if you run out of lives completely, you start this area over again. So you don't go outside, you just start in this castle here. So it really gives you a lot of, you know, chances to succeed, and if you fail, then you get to load your save. So it's like really easy to just sit down and play through this game. Okay, so here's one of the first bosses. Most of the bosses are like this, as far as I can tell. Let's see if we can. And I don't think the melee attack hurts them, but we'll try that here real quick. I'm curious to see if it does. Let's try it. Nope, I don't think it does. Okay. I'm guessing they are worried that'd be too easy. But yeah, like their projectiles will block your projectiles, so that's kind of where. Oh jeez. that's kind of where the whole I might go back and try to get a flame weapon or something. That's kind of where the whole you know, challenge of this game comes from, is basically finding openings on enemies. And okay, I'm just gonna run through here right now and then run back. All right, cool. I think as far as I can tell, all the power-ups are in the same place every time. So if you are able to find hidden power-ups and stuff, you can account for them and try to. Oh boy, got one. Ah. Ah. There we go, and we slice this. And that's the end of the level. That's not to say this game is easy though. It is challenging, but I think it is, you know, at least forgiving in the sense of, you know, you can continue fairly quickly. So as you can see in the top right corner, we just got to on that splash screen, we just got to a new castle. You can see in the top right corner, we're on castle 2 of 5. I can't recall if there's like an additional one outside of that. It's been a while since I've beaten this game. The unfortunate thing with this game is, you know, there's not a lot of easy ways to play this if you're an American. Basically, there is a 3DS Virtual Console release, which is great, and that's very playable, and that's the version I played of this game, and it seems perfectly fine. And then I think it also has like save states and stuff, so you can really So I really like this one where you like throw the 3 at once. It's really devastating, especially to some of these more powerful enemies, especially if we get a flame attack. Yeah. So let's hopefully we can hold on to this until we find one of the bigger enemies in the game. I also want... Oh, boy! Alright. I'm just gonna play it a little safe there. Alright, so I'm gonna see if I can show you how... Boom! Really devastating. Anyway, so yeah, there's the 3DS version, and that's definitely the easiest to access. These are bombs. There's the original Famicom Disk System version, but, you know, then you have to have a Famicom Disk System that is working. You know, not exactly the most common thing for most people. And then there's a Game Boy Advance version, which generally, you know, I think people think those Game Boy Advance versions of NES games are fine, and actually play pretty well. I think the real issue comes in that the graphics have to be modified. So if you're looking for like the original experience, you're probably not getting what you want out of it. But in terms of, you know, playability, I'm gonna guess this plays fine. But I actually have not played many of those NES GBA remakes things other than like the original Mario Brothers on there. So I cannot say for sure if that's a great way to play this game or not. Oh boy. Ah! Alright. I will say a lot of this game starts to look fairly similar, although there is, I think in the third area, there's like a cliffside that you kind of end up on briefly, which is kind of nice. But mostly it's color palette changes. Most of the enemies are also color palette changes, but you can see this guy is different from the bomb guy in the first level. Alright. Just gonna do that. I don't need to worry about my resources. This is a quick play. Ah, my gosh. We're not getting very far, but that's okay. If we die, we'll switch over to my other save file here. Oh. But I can see somebody thinking this music is repetitive, but I do think it's really good, and there's some nice remixes. I think I'm trying to recall if it was in Smash Brothers is where the remix came from. I think one of the Smash Brothers games has a really good version of this, although I think it was originally actually a tape cassette. I think there's a double-sided tape that came out in Japan that was this game's theme, and then also the Legend of Zelda's theme, like, reorchestrated, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so there's not a ton of great ways to play this. I'm not sure if it ever ended up on the Switch Virtual Console stuff. I know some import stuff ended up on there. I would be really disappointed if this game never ends up on that service, because it's such a great game, and you know, there's always, you know, emulation and stuff like that where you can, you know, definitely find ways to play this game. You can definitely find ways to play this game, but there's just not a lot of official ways to play this game. Even this, what I'm doing is the Wii Virtual Console release, and I do not have a Japanese Wii, and I'm playing this through methods. But you know, as owning the 3DS version of the game, I'm not really too worried. Being in water without water sandals is kind of a nightmare. So anyways, yeah, if we continue, it basically puts us at the beginning of that one level. So we're gonna go ahead and go to my other save file, which I think is on the 3rd level in the castle. So yeah, so let's see what we can do here. So it gets pretty challenging. They're also introduced more enemy types. We saw that Tengu in the last level, where basically he would like shoot little tornadoes and stuff, or at least I assume it's Tengu. I think the thing in Dead or Alive is called Tengu, and it looks like that. My great Japanese lore. Oh, jeez. Okay, there we go. All right. There we go. Got through. All right. So see, this room becomes a nightmare because like all these flames start shooting out of the skulls and stuff. But it's a challenging game. But like I said, you know, it's forgiving in the right ways in terms of like letting you continue without too much trouble. You know, when you do die, you end up right back where you left off and things like that. I can't recall if there's anything in here I want. Oh, just lightning? Okay. I think that's all that's in here. So. And you know, all these different colored ninjas have different behaviors. Sometimes they're invisible with only shadows. Sometimes I'm just gonna blow that guy out of here. Sometimes they're invisible with only shadows. Sometimes they are explosive. Like when you see them flashing, that means they're gonna explode. And you want to not be anywhere near them when they die. Ah! I just don't even want to deal with that room. All right, we'll fight this guy. I'm very bad at fighting this guy. It's like one of those things where it's like you have to kind of think of it like a shooter where you're kind of watching yourself more than anything in situations like this, where it's like I just need to make sure nothing is touching me. Oh boy, that was close. And that like if you sit there and focus too much on offense, you'll end up you know, dying. So unfortunately, the knives do not do a lot of damage to this guy. Whoops. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to abuse some damage here, which I don't really want to do because I'm already low on health, but I just want to get in there and slice him. That just feels real good when you do that. Okay. Ooh. The layout of this dungeon is the same every time. Well, you know, between each world, the layout of the game is the same every time. So even though it might look like it's kind of random, it's pretty much the same. You don't get a map in this game, though. Unlike Zelda, you are left to your own memory of how this dungeon is put. So, ooh boy. All right. Takamaru, who's the main character here, I don't remember the story, honestly. It's probably something to do with, like, some lady got kidnapped or something. That's probably what happened. You know, disappear on this guy. Ooh, these guys are... Oh, I killed them already. But, they like, spin their power stint around. Takamaru's been in a few other games. He's in Captain Rainbow. He's also in, okay, we got another save. Getting a lot of good luck here. It'd be nice to be able to show you one case where she transforms, though. He's also been in Samurai Warriors 3, and he shows up in a few things. There's actually some Murasame stuff in Mario Maker 2, like just some graphical stuff. Oh boy, I can disappear. Oh no, I didn't. I was hoping I could disappear there. There's actually some graphical stuff for that in there. I think there may have been something in Mario Maker 1, but I can't remember for sure. And then there's also a game called Sakura Samurai. Oh boy. On the 3DS, which doesn't technically have Takamaru in it, but when you look at the character and stuff, and it's like very much it's more like a Punch-Out game more than anything, honestly. But like the character looks like he's very much supposed to be like Takamaru. I forget who made that game. I also can't recall who was involved in this game either. I feel like Miyamoto was involved to some extent, but I can't fully recall, unfortunately. I'm not great on my 8-bit history of who worked on what, so. But yeah, I think this game's just like really playable because it's, you know, like I said earlier, very forgiving in terms of its like continuing structure. There's, as far as I can tell, no limit to the number of times you have to continue. And, you know, you start right back in this room. So I think in that regard, you know, when you think of like brutally hard NES games and stuff, this game at least feels like it's in the defiance of that. But, you know, again, I said earlier, I haven't played a ton of 8-bit games in my lifetime. God dang it. But again, it doesn't exactly let up on its difficulty because it's somewhat forgiving. It is a really challenging game, but I'm very glad they have a save file system in this game, and like that it's just so easy to continue. And you know, on 3DS, I think you can do save states. So if you really wanted to just cheese your way through this game, you could definitely do that. Got him. All right. These Parson guys are a little bit of a pain because they block your shots with their spinning thing. Oh, well, that's it. We died again. All right, let's see if we can get slightly further this time around. Okay, we'll do this one more time. If we have some extra time, we'll go back to the other save file and do some more there. But yeah, it just feels really good to play. And you know, it's a game that I think many people are aware of this game, but I don't know how many people have like really sat down and played it a bunch. You know, at least to me, it seems not nearly as you know, it didn't get localized back in the day, so you know, it's not really a part of the NES pantheon of games. But it would have been nice if it did. But I you know, being feudal Japan, basically, people were less likely to bring that kind of stuff over. But you know, I feel like there's been so many other cases, and I guess they did on 3DS. But it would have been nice if there's been a console release of this at some point. Like even on the Wii Virtual Console as one of the import games, it would have been really pleasant because they did sell import games on the Wii. That were slightly more expensive than normal games for some reason, even though they're just, you know, also just a ROM. Got it. Okay. But you know, it's available if you want to get to it, and you know, there's plenty of ways to play NES games on a TV these days if you don't have a thing. But yeah, actually playing like with real hardware and stuff is a little troublesome. As far as I know, there's no other console ports outside of the Wii and you know, the original Famicom Disk System versions. So, but I could be wrong about that. But the 3DS, if you're looking for the most accessible way to play this game, 3DS is definitely the way to go. Teleport again, or not teleport, but disappear. All right. I'd like to get to the second part of this area. That's also death. I have gotten through this place before to some extent, and I think I got to the boss fight and died on this boss fight, but got it. Easy. Flame attacks are really nice. Okay. Ooh. Anything over here? Oh, no. Just... Ah. The disappear is a little dangerous because if you do get hit on the trip through this area that's like full of things that are attacking you, you can end up basically being a sitting duck while you reveal yourself back to the thing. Whew, okay. Okay, here we go. Here's the boss. Oh boy. I don't think we'll make it, but we can try. I don't know if there's a way to tell which one's real. Oh, there he is. Yeah, we did it. Was not expecting to beat that level on this playthrough, but sure, why not? Okay, this is the 4th stage. Momosamejo. So you see, basically the same thing, just purple. You know, it's nice to have some kind of aesthetic differences and stuff. There's those explosive guys that are terrifying. But you know, it is very much, you know, the same thing overall. Dang it. Trying to see if there's any items up there, but you know, I'm not going to survive, so might as well do some exploring. So, make sure there aren't any power-ups I'm leaving behind. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say about this game. It's just really fun to play, and it's just really fast-paced, really accessible, and, you know, I like it a lot. You know, it's kind of interesting to think about, like, if you really want to extend some blood here, like, and Twilight Princess for the Nintendo GameCube and Wii. That's like the first time Link could like slash his sword while still moving, essentially. And so you could kind of, if you wanted to really draw that line, you could look at this game and how, you know, it allows Takamaru to slash his sword and be like, oh, there we go. That's kind of like that. He kind of lived on in Zelda. Not at all. So don't worry about it. So, but it does make me think a little bit of that. Blow these bombs up. You know, and I think you know, a game like this is much more worth Nintendo's time than releasing like the black box games again. Like, I know people love Ice Climber. I actually like Ice Climber, as many problems as I think it also has, but I do enjoy it. And like, you know, a game like this just gets, you know, stuck to the wayside, even though it's very, very playable. But, you know, a lot of Virtual Console releases is less about, is the game good, and more about, hey, do you remember this game? Which is probably why we have Urban Champion over and over and over again, which I've sat down and tried to enjoy Urban Champion, but I've had limited success on that. So, but who knows? I hope they make a new game in this series someday that's like an actual like release. I think there's something to this gameplay that could be pretty cool. That is, you know, different than Zelda. It's not the slower plodding combat of a Zelda game. It's very action. It's very frantic, and you're just constantly moving. And I really like that part of this game. There's not a lot of time to think. You kind of just have to be reactionary and not think about where you're going a lot of times. I mean, you do have some basic maze skills you have to like maze structures you have to kind of navigate. But you know, overall, your real utmost concern is all this garbage that's coming at me on screen. And thankfully your sword is very, very good at deflecting a lot of that stuff. But it's like making a lot of quick decisions. So, oh, that slowed down. Because any tiny ninja star like that will take a portion of your health. So, I'm actually not sure where to go on this level. I feel like I'm going in circles, but nope, there we go. I'm probably gonna die here, but oh, that's it for Mysterious Castle Murasame. Yeah, I like this game a lot. It's cool. It's definitely one. It is my favorite NES game that I've ever played, and you know, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I just wanted to get back to the title screen. But yeah, I highly recommend this to anybody who is like a big fan of action NES games. And I assume at this point, if you're a fan of the NES, you probably have done a lot of exploring of, you know, emulators and playing ROMs and things like that. So, you know, if you've spent a lot of time in the NES library, I would expect that you've already played this. But maybe if you're like me and just poking around a little bit, maybe this stands out a little bit more. Just very playable again. So thanks for coming. OneControlReport.com is the website. In terms of what's up this week, I recently just got back from Japan, as far as I should be in the case of putting this video up, I believe. This is the last thing I'm pre-recording before going to Japan. So this is coming out like a month later after I've you know, I had to prepare a bunch of content for the website. So all the holiday stuff is up on the website. All the Christmas and New Year stylish stuff is up there. In terms of what we're focusing on next, I may have made a decision by the time you're hearing this on where we're going with the series, or with you know, the videos at this point. But unfortunately, at this point in time when I'm recording this, I don't know. So definitely, you know, keep an eye out for my podcast. I'm sure I'll be talking about what's coming up next. Podcast goes up every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and then I also talk about like what I'm doing on stream as well. So if you want to watch my stream, that's at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Thursdays. So yeah, thanks for coming. I hope you have a great week. Bye.